Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight I want to just react to of an article that I saw that's been making its rounds in Brazil's social networks and news outlets. And as always, with the focus being on analyzing Brazil from perspective of race, this is another example of how race is playing out. Like, this is becoming more and more of a conflict where white and non-white people see things differently. You have people who are in the middle who still claim that we don't have those problems in Brazil, but let's get real. I mean, if there weren't problems like this in Brazil, a blog and a video channel like mine wouldn't even exist. This is just a small parcel of Brazil that I prefer to discuss. So today's video is entitled "There Can't Be Any More Straight White Men on Soap Operas," says actor Thiago Fragoso about opportunities on TV. So before I get into this video for today, I always want to review what was said, offer my opinion, and then put it in more context. Before I get into that, definitely like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel, and click on that notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. With that said, let's discuss this a little bit more in depth. Okay, so this is the actor in question, Thiago Fragoso, and I'm going to be honest. I've never heard of this actor. When I set out to learn about Brazil, my attraction to Brazil was learning about the experience and the history of Afro-Brazilians. Now, this is not to say that I don't know any, Brazilian personalities who are white. There's plenty that I know. I just don't know as many of them as I do what we'll consider non-white, black and brown actors and actresses from Brazil. I'm more familiar with them because those are the people that I wanted to get to know when I first started getting into Brazil at the end of the 90s, early 2000s. So this comes down to, again, a question of representation in Brazil's media. Numerous people over the years who have visited Brazil, and this is increasing. It seems like every year more and more people are discovering the situation in Brazil, are being, fascinated. Like, I want to visit that country. And any foreigner who's been to Brazil, who's watched television, even for just a couple of hours, the major networks. I've seen Africans, I've seen Europeans, I've seen Americans, all sorts of people. This has been covered in like Al Jazeera. Like, why is Brazil's media so white? I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. If you're somebody who's traveled to Brazil, you're not going to go to Brazil just to watch television. I understand that. But in the hours that you're not enjoying the culture or just being out in the streets doing something, turn on the TV for a couple of hours and see how Brazil depicts its people. Brazil has always presented itself as the biggest mixed race population on the planet. And it's like, well, where are these people when you see them, when you turn on the television? Because in Brazil's television and in the film industry, there is dominated by people who are considered white, or just they might just be white considered in Brazil. So this isn't just my opinion. There's plenty of studies out there, even in English, that just show what the face of Brazil looks like within the country and outside of the country. This is a lot of, particularly Rede Global, the global television network. Some of the productions from this television channel have an international reach because, you can go to Africa and see stuff coming out of Brazil, through global. I'm not sure which other television networks out of Brazil have international coverage, but this is where, some Africans will come to Brazil. Like, these are not, when they see black people in Brazil, it's like, these are not the faces that we see when we tune into Brazilian television networks. Okay. Then the other thing that's coming out about what he's talking about is the issue of sexual orientation and representation in television and film productions coming out of Brazil. So with that said, let's check out what the actor Thiago Fragoso had to say about this. Today's video is coming from an article that I found on the Noticia Preta website. It's one of the top black content websites coming out of Brazil. So what are we saying here? In an interview with Folha de São Paulo, the country's top newspaper, actor Thiago Fragoso questioned the lack of opportunities on TV and attributed this to being a white, blonde, heterosexual man. There can't be any more straight white men, he said. The controversial speech generated reactions on social networks, with internet users mocking Thiago's comments and others being triggered by the actor's position. Okay, so that's what this caption says here, what's written in this photo. You can't There can't be any more heterosexual white men in the novellas. Again, novellas meaning soap operas. Soap operas are huge in Brazil. Go Warrior, some wrote. Others claimed that the actor was talking about reverse racism and were outraged. Even that, even that is a prerogative of whiteness, wrote one internet user. The actor has been out of TV Global's permanent cast since July of last year, where he was for more than 20 years. So listen what they're saying here. People are chastising him for, basically coming out and saying he sees reverse racism in his difficulty to get more, roles and productions. Um, Another commenter says, like, just this is the privilege of whiteness for you to even say something like this. That's what he says, the prerogative of whiteness for you to even share your opinion. What you're sharing, it gives you people will accept as more coming from a privileged position of whiteness versus when a black person says this in the opposite direction. Like, black Brazilians have been complaining for years that Brazilian media kind of excludes them. Very small black representation in Brazil's media, whether it's cinema or television. This has been going on for decades. It's only started to recently change, like in the last decade or so. Again, so straight white male actor is experiencing a parallel reality. Okay. Actor Thiago Fragoso gave an interview to Folha de Sao Paulo about the audiovisual market. The actor said that the Brazilian audiovisual market is stagnant and weird, and also questioned that the moment is guided by whoever has the most followers. In every soap opera or series, I have the chance to play a character. It's either me or Jonas Blocky or Erson Capri or Larissa Manoela's boyfriend, who is also blonde with blue eyes, he said. Now, I'm not dismissing what he's saying. Maybe he does feel himself being left out with the push for more diversity in terms of race and in terms of gender. But as we will see in a few minutes when I go through some of these other articles, I understand what he's saying. I won't dismiss what anybody's saying. This is his opinion. Everybody has their right to have an opinion. I just question if he knows what the percentage of representation of actors in Brazil according to color. I don't know if he's familiar with that for him to make such statements. Despite the actor's questioning, the presence of Black artists, even more so in audiovisuals, is still seen as a barrier today, despite the few advances highlighted by some actors and actresses. In 2023, for the first time, Global TV had Black actors starring in its 3 soap operas, and at the same time, the achievement was celebrated by artists. That was a big deal a few years ago. An achievement that is the fruit of a great struggle by Black movements for recognition of the reality of our country and appreciation of our talents, said actress Thais Araújo, who was the first Black actress to star in a global soap opera in the novella known as Da Cor do Pecado, which literally means the color of sin, and also the first to play a Black protagonist in a primetime novella, which was Viver a Vida. So I've always said Thais Araújo is what I consider Brazil's top Black actress. She's had a career almost 30 years now from what I've seen. And her rise to prominence in Brazil's media, mostly television productions, she's become a top star in the country. So it's, as she said, this has come along with a lot of struggle within the Black activist circles to the demand to having more Black actors on television and in film in Brazilian productions. Mestre Ivanar, who was in the soap opera Amor Perfeito on Global TV, spoke to Notícia Preta about the presence of Black artists in audiovisual works. This is the actor here. They call him Mestre Ivanar, I'm sorry. So this guy was 65 years old when he got his first role in the novella. The aforementioned Amor Perfeito. So he says, not long ago, soap operas always featured Black artists or Black actors in a subordinate position. Nowadays, that's changing, and I'm being able to contribute to the political transformation of the country, he said. And he's right. When you look at the history of Brazil's, always popular novellas or soap operas, when they did have Black people on these novellas, They were always the help. The women are going to be in the kitchen. They're going to be the maids, the cleaning ladies. They're going to be some, scantily clad, video type of vixen. The seductive presence in the novella, the available black woman, if you will. The men were stereotyped into being criminals. They might be some rich white person's driver. They might be a bodyguard. You know, just highly stereotypical images. There was a director, Joel Zito Araujo, who's either 2000 or 1999 film and book talked about the history of the stereotype of black people in Brazilian style novellas. From I think he went back to the 60s up into the late 90s in his study, and it just basically confirmed what I've always said. Brazil has a small space for black actors and actresses, and the space that they do give them are highly stereotypical roles. Thiago Fragoso, these are just some of the headlines that people are judging what he had to say. And they're calling what he's saying me, me, me. It says Thiago Fragoso says that it's difficult being a white, straight, a straight heterosexual white man. What else? Let me see if there's anything else here. So these are all headlines talking about what he had to say. And again, I'm not necessarily disputing what he says. It's necessary to be able to look and just see how valid what his concerns are. Because anytime somebody gets left out, they're going to feel like, okay, what's going on here? This used to be my domain. I used to always get the calls. And apparently he feels like he's missing out now. But what did the studies say? I wanted to take a look at a couple of these articles that kind of, put out what I'm talking about. Like best actors born in Brazil. Okay. Gustavo Goulart, Marco Nanini, Wagner, Moura, Tony Ramos, Bruno Campos, Fernanda Montenegro. I mean, what do we see here? Alice Braga. All of these people are what we'll call white Brazilians or something close to white. Best actors in Brazil, according to this site. The best Brazilian actors. Now, I believe these are just for the males. The best actors in Brazil, masculine. Luigi Baricelli, Antonio Fagundes. This guy is very popular. I never knew how to pronounce his name. Mateus Nactegali, I think is pronounced. Celton Mello, again, Wagner Moura, Rodrigo Santoro, all of these people, Pedro Cardoso, all of these people that I know of right here, they are considered white in Brazil. Let's look at another one. So here's another one. Brazilian actors and actresses. I mean, just look at the faces. Jennifer Gies. Now that, as far as I know, Jennifer Gies is a black actress. I talked about her in a recent video because she was in a relationship with a popular stand-up comedian, Yuri Marçal. So, if they consider Jennifer Gies, that's good to see because this is the third site that I'm looking at, and I'm just not seeing any black actors or actresses in these top, Brazilian actors rankings according to these websites. So again, here's another one here. Best Brazilian actors of all time, melhores atores brasileiros de todos os tempos. This is from 12 years ago. So they might throw in a couple of black actors if this article was updated. But as this is like I don't know, about the fourth one that I've looked at, 71 people featured here. Okay, just again, look. You look at the physical appearance of all of these actors. I don't see a black actor anywhere here. I think number 25, we might find one. Milton Gonçalves, who I did a video about, some months ago. He's one of the, he had been in, what Milton Gonçalves died, I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 5 years ago. He was one of the most highly respected actors in Brazil. He made his name in television novellas, the soap operas. He died, like I said, between 3 and 5 years ago. But up until now, he is the only black face that I've seen on this website that's talking about the top actors of Brazil. So this is what we see. I mean, all of these don't have pictures, but of the pictures that we see, I haven't come across a name besides Milton Gonçalves that represent the black actors who can be considered some of the best actors in the country. Okay, there's another one, Lázaro Ramos, who is married to Thaís Araújo. So, like, to me, the considered top black actor in Brazil is married to the top Brazilian black actress. But as you can see, up until this point, I've only seen, and there's 71 actors here, I only saw 2 black men of those 71 slots. Let's take a look at another site here. This is called the top 10 Brazilian actors. And as you can see, again, the standard is the same. All of these people, you say Brazilian and you want to say Brazilians aren't white. These men clearly look like white men to me. Let's look at another site here. So here we have the top 100 atrizes do Brasil, the top 100 Brazilian actresses. She's Fernanda Montenegro is considered one of Brazil's best actresses. But again, let's look at the faces. Now, Juliana Paz, some people would say she's black or at least mixed. Other people just consider her white. I would say that I could say Juliana Paz is definitely a parda, a mixed person, a brown person. I would say that, but she is closer to the white phenotype. And as we go on, we don't see, again, among Sonia Braga, a lot of us are familiar with her. I remember the first time I saw her was on a Cosby Show episode, like back in the 80s. But again, don't see any black faces up until this point. Okay, there's Thais Araújo, who I consider the top black actress in the country. Let's see if we can see any other black women pop up on this list. Let me see. We're into the 40s now. Camila Pitanga, and some people argue that she's not black. I consider her to be a light-skinned black woman. So that's two. Who else do we see? Alize Braga is actually, I think she's the niece of Sonia Braga. She got big after the Cidade de Deus film from 2002. She's gotten film work in the United States. But as of now, we're in the 60s. I still don't see, besides those two women. Okay, here's a third one, Sharon Menezes. She's also black. What else do we have here? As I'm looking, I'm seeing just mostly almost all white faces. I think I mentioned 2 or 3 black actresses. I'm questioning, okay, there's Zize Malta, which makes 4. So we're down in number 89 and we're only up to 4 black actresses up to this point. And I'm just wondering, where is Ruth Souza? Ruth Souza died, I don't know, somewhere, 5 to 7 years ago. She's considered one of Brazil's greatest actresses. Where is Leia Garcia or Garcia? Where are these? These are longtime black actresses. Both of them have passed away in the last decade. But how come you don't see either one of those actresses in this list? This is what I'm saying. When this guy says there's no more roles for heterosexual white men, I'm like, okay, let's look at the actors who are most respected in the country in terms of audiovisual productions. The 10 best actors of Brazilian theater. Take a look here. Marcos Nanini, right? Who is this guy? Paulo Outram. This is, okay, Lázaro Ramos is one of the black actors you'll see here. You've got Antonio Edson and on and on. Again, are you sure that you're not getting, you're not getting chosen for any more television novellas? Because according to the studies, this is what's saying, it's dominated by white men. Study shows that blacks are the minority in Brazil's visual productions. This is a study released by, let me see, I think it was called Ancine. Let me see. Ancine stands for the National Agency of Cinema. It comes out with all types of reports. This study is based on the analysis of 142 Brazilian films, and what it found that among the directors, 75% are white men. Almost 60% of the producers are white men. Okay. What else do we have? Let's keep going here. Okay, when the director of a film is black, the chance of having a screenwriter also being black increases by 43%. When the director of a film is black, the chance of there being more than one black actor or actress in the cast increases by 65.8%. Let's see, what else do we have here? This is what I mean by, okay, it's not just an opinion. Anybody who watches Brazilian television or media, you'll see some of these same things. This is another article that just highlights what I'm talking about. Let's just search with the word branco, which means white. Again, what do we have here? Let's take a look. Of feature films released, they're the directors of these films that were national Brazilian films that were released. The great majority were white people, being 97.2% of the total. Women were directors of 19.7% of the films, with black men being 2.1%. And no film of 2016 was directed or had a screenwriter that was a black woman. Very revealing what these numbers show here. What else do I want to point out? Let me see. That might be it. But okay, let me see here. In 42.2% of films, there was not a Black actor or actress identified in the cast. In 33% of them, the cast had a maximum of 10% of Black artists in the cast, or taking part in the film production. Only 3 films had more than a 60% Black cast, representing only 2.1% of fiction productions. So again, what is that guy talking about? Even with the improvements in recent years, whiteness is still the standard in Brazil's television and cinema productions. This is a piece I did from 2024 or earlier this year, February. After decades of invisibility and stereotypes, Brazil is discovering the power of Black protagonism in films and on television. So I've seen more films now that have Black Brazilians as the majority of the cast. This is more I'm seeing now than I've ever seen, like in the 25 years that I've been studying Brazil. I mean, it's a fact is a fact. This was a somebody. This was over global television's production of this television series that people consider very racist for its depiction of Black women. So they said, somebody scribbled graffiti on here calling Brazil's top television network Global. They're calling it racist. Then you have this study right here from 2012 to 2022. 1,239 characters appeared on the primetime screens of the Global Television Network. However, only 141 of them were Black, corresponding to only 11.4% of the total. This is the book that I mentioned, The Negação do Brasil, meaning Denying Brazil. Director and author Joel Zito Araújo, he's done a lot of studies on this in the last 25 years, where he shows the stereotypes of Black Brazilians in the novellas. These are some of the main points of his criticism. Blacks are represented through negative stereotypes. There's a total invisibility of positive action of Blacks. Black culture is seen as folklore and not as part of popular culture and the constitution of the imagination and preferences of the Brazilian people. 4, Blacks as an element of fun for whites and not for themselves and their ethnic groups. 5, the presentation of Blacks as poor and slum dwellers is in the routine structure of the news. So the racism that you have in Brazil, not only did it always already exist, but then the audiovisual productions reiterate these stereotypes that people already have about Black Brazilians. So this is Thais Araújo. This is her in her appearance in the novella, I think it was 2009, Viver a Vida. She became the first Black Brazilian actress to star in a primetime novella. In 2004, she became the first Black actress to be a protagonist in a global television or telenovela, a soap opera. So Brazil's media has been active since the 50s or the 60s, but it took 40, 50 years to have a Black woman as a protagonist on one of its, highly popular novellas. So this is what I was just talking about. I'm not dismissing what this actor says because this is his own personal opinion. This is how he feels he's being left out in the media, but take a look at the data. Brazil, the media is still dominated by the white face. So I hear what he's saying, but on the other hand, the standard still remains whiteness. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to discuss here, he talks about not only being a white male, but a straight white male. He says that things are getting kind of strange in Brazil in terms of the images that they're presenting in the media. And of course, we've had Americans talk about this idea in the American media as well. So what I want to mention here is what I've come to discover. There have been several times, and I see this idea of diversity being in films and in television. And what I've noticed, and it's something that's even more striking for me because now I have kids. And I remember sitting and watching this cartoon with my kids, and I looked at, 2 of them had their heads covered, like hiding under the bed covers. And I didn't know what was going on because I was like reading a magazine or something. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? And they both looked. They was like, I don't like this scene. And they were like protecting themselves from it because I don't know, it made them feel strange or something. And when I looked, this was a cartoon that was showing 2 female characters in the cartoon kissing. And so my kids felt really strange about it. They didn't want it. They both said, I don't like that scene. So what I'm saying is, I've never presented an issue with anybody's sexuality. People have the right to live how they want to live. But I also see that it is important. At what age should we be allowing our children to see the images coming in a highly sexualized culture that we have, whether we're talking about the United States or Brazil? I say it's over sexualized. When we look at the images of the female artists in pop music, it's going way overboard in terms of the sexuality. So I should have a right as a parent to be able to, screen some of the things that my kids watch. And I'm not just saying this is a thing of, oh, you have a problem because it's affection among, gay or lesbian women. Like I'm saying, sexuality in general is not something that should be just cast in front of children at such an age. That's my position on that. So anyway, curious to know what you all thought about today's video. Okay. Particularly people who watch the media in Brazil, Brazilians. I don't always agree with everything everybody has to say, but I have never deleted anybody's comment. I think that's YouTube doing that. So I want to hear what you all have to say. What did you think about today's video? Drop a comment in the comment section. Like this video, share this video. Subscribe to this channel if you've liked more than a few videos that I've put up here. And click on the notification bell so that you know when I put up another video. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and request that you all come back, check out the next video that I post.